We got this story from the Daily Mail. New graphic reveals extent of the Great Resignation. How many have quit their jobs since 2021 and which industries have been hit the hardest? I saw this and it's kind of crazy. The Great Resignation isn't over yet. November 2022, 4.17 million, the number of people quitting their jobs in the U.S. seasonally adjusted. So, I don't know. People are quitting their jobs. Nobody wants to work. People are unhealthy. They're doing drugs. Is this
It's an opportunity.
a black pill or
opportunity for a new industry? There are workers that want to get jobs. Now
No, they don't.
They
They
want jobs.
Yeah,
no one wants to work.
I feel like a lot of this is my generation too, like Gen Z, is we've been fed this idea. I call them the participation trophy generation, is because they expect everything handed to them. They expect to be paid $15 to $30 for flipping burgers at a McDonald's. Meanwhile, someone with a doctorate is being paid $30 an hour. I mean, this is the generation, and you're seeing it with the millennials and with Gen Z and a few other generations, is they don't want to work and they don't find value in actually working hard.
Well, I don't know for sure. I appreciate that you said that, but I don't know them, so I'd have to go case by case. But I for sure, I believe they're quitting jobs they hate. Doesn't mean that they're going to hate the next job they get.
But there's also a lot of inflation, as Ian is saying, and there's also a record amount of the dollar being absolutely devalued to the point where people are like, why should I work when I could barely make ends meet, when I could just get a government check, right? So that's also going into the perspective here. And at the same time, when you're giving everyone participation trophies, when you're hiring and promoting based off race and based off sexuality rather than actual merit, what gives you the incentive to actually be good at your job when you're only going to be selected because of the way you look or what you decide to shove up inside of you, right? So
I think that the value
or not shove up inside of you.
The value of time has
or to
increased.
shove something inside someone else.
Have you guys got
clarify
that like working for hourly is maybe a defunct method of payment for employees these days? Because I feel like you can get so much more done per hour than you used to be able to do.
You're thinking about the wrong jobs, though, I think. For somebody who's got a specific job, like I need you here handing bags of food out for 3 hours, hourly makes sense. You're not going to do it by, like, for every bag you hand out, you get 10 cents. You know what I mean?
Because, man, our wage slave sucks. Do you guys ever do that? I mean,
actually,
pretty much everybody.
Let's try that. Let's do that. When I open the coffee shop, I'll say, for every cup of coffee you hand out, I'll give you a dime.
Dude, they'll be upselling that. You want another one? You want 2 cups? You sure? Your buddy's here but hasn't had one yet.
I think the problem is that they're making no money.
Oh, not on top of do it on top of the salary.
No, I'm saying if we want to talk about hourly versus actual sales, it's like what are you paying a person for? It's like the funny thing about the left. There's a funny meme I saw. It said the left, the Marxists are like the profits should all be shared among the workers. And then the guy responds and says, then if the company accrues debt and loses money, then the debt needs to be split among all workers as well. And then the Marxist gets all angry because they never talk about that one. But let's put it this way. The Marxist view would be like, okay, how about this? Instead of paying you an hourly wage for you to sell coffee, I'll give you a portion of the labor you produce. Like, okay, so I work to get the cups and the coffee. You work to distribute them. I will share with you a portion of the revenue. I think they'd end up making like substantially less money doing that. Like imagine you're working at a coffee shop and it's a slow morning. It's like, well, I made 30 cents today because no one came in for coffee. Yeah, well, too bad. It's equality, right?
I've been there as a waiter, making $2.13 an hour plus tips, and some days you'd get 3 tables, walk out with like $14.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, that's the most criminal thing to me in the U.S. is like that you pay waiters like $1 an hour, and then you're saying, oh, well, they'll make it in tips. I never understood
the food industry is hell. If any of you guys have ever worked in it, it actually is like being a server is a terrible job.
Mm-hmm.
It depends because you can get that good one where you $250 meals at night and you get like 7 tables.
No. That's so rare though in that industry. Usually you're serving soy slop on plates to people running around. I mean, you have hundreds of people filling and you have sections cut out for certain servers. You're serving 10 people at a time.
Being a server, you're probably going to be a server at a place like Applebee's or like Longhorn Steakhouse or something along those lines. Those are the most
profitable.
Yeah, profitable, but the most common restaurants that you find, and you're not finding wealthy people going in there dropping a lot of money. People that go to Longhorn Steakhouse are not like, I'm going to go out and spend $300 and then tip the waiter $100. They're going to go. They're going to spend their $150 or whatever for their family, and they're going to give the waiter $15 because.
Yeah, I've been there. East Side Mario's, Bo's Tavern, list goes on, man. I worked so many different restaurants.
They're those places, the predominant the predominant restaurants in the U.S. aren't places where people go that have a lot of money, that they're going for a little treat for their family.
Well, especially now, I mean, tipping is going down too in the food industry, is because the prices are going up.
Yeah.
So
Way up,
you're
way
the
up.
same thing you would get a few years ago at your favorite restaurant for $10. You're now spending $20 on. So then you're minimizing your tip as well.
I guess you're supposed to. Well, you're supposed to not. You do whatever you want. You don't have to tip if you don't want to, but give them 20% of the bill. So if the food cost doubles, then they'll be getting double the tip.
But that's discouraging a lot of people from even eating out now too, is because they don't have that money necessarily to tip.
Where's all the money? What happened? It went to the Ukraine? Are there like just really rich people that are hoarding their hundreds of billions offshore?
No.
Where's all the money?
What do you mean?
They just printed like 4 trillion or 6 trillion or something. Where's
Big Pharma is creating more billionaires than any other industry out there right now. And during COVID, there was a large transfer of wealth.
The biggest
from
wealth transfer in the history, right?
I think the history of the world.
Yeah.
Where we saw the most amount of money go from everyone to the billionaire class. And the billionaires doubled, tripled their wealth, while everyone else was left holding the bag. As, of course, they weren't allowed to have private enterprise. They weren't allowed to have businesses, as the government came in and said, Mom and Pop, you got to shut down. Walmart has to be open.
Strip clubs, liquor store, you guys can stay open.
it's leading me to want to be like workers of the world unite. Let's take our money back. But we all know how that turned out. So we're trying to figure out a different way.
no.
Like we're trying to find out a 21st century.
Where's the hammer and sickle?
Yeah, I've got plenty. Oh, you have right here these hammers.
No.
Thank you, Phil.
well,
You see
we
what I
know-
have to do?
Yes.
You sure you want this job?
We know that the populist.
I will reign in Ian's
No, it's
authoritarian and
good.
totalitarian.
I think it's funny. I mean, like, you guys are more libertarian anarchist. Ian's more government liberal
Well,
collectivist.
and I'm
liberal
being honest
fascist.
because I think a lot of people are feeling what I'm feeling. The frustration's building. I'm like, you know what? Populist uprising. If that's what it takes, we'll just get a bunch of famous people to scream it out on Thursday at 2, and then that's when it begins.
I mean,
that has never worked. Populist, no, they don't.
You're right.
They've always ended up with worse governments. People say that America, I'm going to get into a little rant here. People say that the United States is not a unique country. There's nothing special about the United States. The United States is one of a vanishingly few countries in the world that had a revolution and came out better on the other side. Right? Like the revolution that the United States had when we separated from the British, the United States was a more free country and then went on to become an even more free country as we continued to work towards the ideals set forth in the Bill of Rights and the Constitution.
You know what?
And if people are asking
and
the question, that's Tim playing with the Gooch
Yes.
sound stick healing energy bar.
You know what's appalling to me is when we literally overthrew this government, and we started, I can't say we, but our ancestors, and I mean the founding fathers started, America. What is America now? Is we were actually being taxed decently fairly, okay? And now you see what's going on with these 87,000 IRS agents and everything else, and it's like, where, I keep hearing from all these people that revolution is in our blood. And it's like, where?
Well, but
That's why I brought this up.
Look at the Declaration of Independence. I mean, the list of grievances was more than just taxes.
Yeah, of course.
So I bring it up because I'm feeling grieved right now at the system, like the mass redistribution of wealth to the top, these things of people consolidating wealth. How do we revolt against that or change that without creating a violent populist uprising, which
legal
we
and
know
local.
doesn't work?
Legal and local. You get involved in your local area.
Local
you
governments.
You get people that share your opinions and political views elected to local office, because the people that have the most effect in your life are the local politicians. You also have the most opportunity to affect their lives. If you go down to the general store or whatever and you bump into your selectman or your mayor or whatever, you can give him the stink eye. Give him dirty looks and let him know that he's unhappy. And you're going to have the best chance of having a response from your local government than you will from state or federal. But then after your local, then you go for state, because the state governments have an enormous amount of ability to pass laws and legislate. They have all kinds of authority to legislate. There's only a handful of things that they're prevented from legislating by the federal government. So to think that we need to overthrow the federal government is a massive error. What you need to do is get in touch with James Lindsay and help get people elected to school boards, right, in your local area, because that is how you affect the most immediate change, and it's also peaceful and it's legal.
Well, and I'd agree with, I mean, locals are always more important than federal. I mean, my reporting on the drag stuff, I mean, the past half a year that I've been doing it in Texas alone, I mean, the GOP has already, in Texas GOP has already made it one of their top priorities, is to basically reword the coding of the sexual, involvement with children, what you can do in front of children. And now that the new legislative session is coming around, I mean, they're talking about passing laws to ban children from these sexually explicit shows. I mean, so anyone can make a difference on a local level, but you just need to know how to do it and need to do it in an effective way.
I'm not so sure the laws are going to fix that problem, though.
They're just going to go underground.
No, I don't think so either. In Arkansas, they're trying to make drag shows adult. The same thing as like a stripping or whatever. But it's already illegal to perform sex acts, simulated sex acts in front of children in Texas, and they don't do anything about it.
Yep. Well, I think it's the way that the penal code, or I mean, I'm not sure, I'm not really well written on law, but the way that it's written is that's what allows it to happen. So the GOP is going to go in and try and tighten it up. And I don't have that much faith in the GOP, obviously, for very understandable reasons.
I disagree. I mean, I'm pretty sure that if you walked up to a playground and did what those people did,
you'd be in jail.
So there's no difference.
Yeah.
The issue is that the cops culturally are unwilling to enforce it.
Well, and I mean, Dallas PD, Fresco PD, all of these places that I've covered these drag shows in, they know what's going on is wrong, but they're not willing to actually do anything about it. Yeah, they're terrified. I mean, and it's understandable in a lot of aspects of the same way. It's like someone needs to be the first officer to make an arrest, to go in here and to drag these drag queens or drag kings, because they are all men at this point. That's what we should call them.
Did you just say that cops in Texas are scared?
Crazy. Uvalde? What?
Terrified.
I am shocked that police officers in the great state of Texas are frightened, guys.
Hey, you guys aren't backing the blue enough.
No.
I think that's the root problem here.
I back good ideas.
You got to lick the
people.
boot.
I don't back
the boot
things just because.
Well, and if these officers walked in and they drag these people out, I would be, clapping and cheering, jumping up and down with joy, but you just don't see that. No one is actually willing to be the first person to do this because they know it's going to cause a lot of crap for them in the future, which someone needs to stand up and do it, but it's just a matter of who and when.
I hear Florida's doing some actions against those kind of drag.
At least they're trying to, yeah.
So,
buddy of mine in New Hampshire is also doing the same thing. He's in the New Hampshire State Legislature. Mike Belcher, follow him on Twitter. He's got actual legislation that he's presented to keep the kind of woke mind virus stuff out of the law in New Hampshire. So.
But if people, look, it's only a matter of time. These laws get overturned, get removed if people don't speak up. Because I said it before, I'll say it again. If there's you and a leftist and you're like, I'm too scared to speak, the leftist is screaming nonstop.
Yep.
The children only hear the leftist.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So that's it. You got to speak up.
You hit the nail on the head a long time ago when you talked about how the leftists are the ones that'll make the noise, and that's why they don't get banned from platforms. Platforms just one.
And look
of them.
at how bad the right wingers are actually organizing things too. That's what I've noticed the past few years is the only thing that's like actually been like a successful organization of the right has been like the Stop the Steal and the MAGA Million marches. Those are really the only things that I've seen that have like been semi-successful. I mean, anytime you go, even in Texas, the people, the Catholics and everybody that organize against these drag shows, they're severely outnumbered every single time by local John Brown Gun Club and Antifa. And you're in Texas.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Crazy.
In Texas.
Yeah.
Of all places.
Everyone talks about how much they love Texas, and I am one not to support that. One, it's flat. And two, there is more sexual exploitation of children going on there than I would argue anywhere in the country.
That's true. And the border, too.
The border is out of control.
I read a story about some lady. She said she walked out of a bar. It was like a post on Reddit, I think. And her boyfriend and his two friends were like 10 feet in front of her. A car creeps up. They open the door, jump out, grab her, and try dragging her in. She starts screaming. Her boyfriend and the guys run over and grab her, pull her out of the car before and then they speed off. It's just like, they just street kidnap women in Texas and then drive them.
Well, and you can literally walk down. Like 2 years ago, this didn't exist really. Language barriers in Dallas did not really exist. But now, if you go and try and film like a man on the street video or anything in Dallas, you're going to run into people that do not even speak English. This is a new thing happening. Mm-hmm. You're having hundreds of thousands and millions of people coming over the Texas border. And then instead of actually deporting them, Greg Abbott just wants to ship them to other states, which are still in our country.
That's right.
It's a nice publicity stunt. Cool the first few times you do it, but they're still in your country.
People are telling me, well, they don't have the right to deport. It's a federal thing. They can't deport. It's a state thing. And I'm like, so send them into the country? That's crazy.
Mm.
Yeah, send them farther in where they can spread out and diversify even more. It's a great idea.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You think
So
that
wait,
Texas should be able to deport? You think there should be a
Absolutely.
state law?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the whole Texas sovereignty, it's a load of crap. I mean, Texas should be able to deport absolutely anybody that they want. If you're crossing, actually, last time I was at the border and doing some border reporting, I mean, there was thousands coming over. It was insane. It's something I've never seen before. I crossed the Rio Grande with these people, and I actually was capturing these people as they were being processed on video, and National Guard and Border Patrol pulled their cars in front and told me that I'm not able to record because it was the request of these migrants. I said, okay, so the migrants who aren't even citizens here, they have more rights than me as a member of the press, freedom of the press that doesn't exist. Like, their right trumps mine, and this should have said yes. So it's like, there's a very big problem going on at the border, specifically in Texas, and we're going to feel it for a very long time.
All right, white pill or black pill? Do you think we're going to make it through this? Do you think it's going to get worse?
I mean, I like to say, I like to take a black pill in the morning and then a white pill at night before I go to bed. That's what I like to do. But everything is going to get worse before it gets better. That's how it always goes. It's always going to get significantly worse. And yeah, is there going to be an upturn? I do think there eventually will be an upturn. But the next few years, they're going to get pretty bad.
So you're speedballing.
Basically.
Got it.
It's like the crack to the baby, but to me.
It's kind of like
Might as well. Hey.
working out. You got to traumatize the muscle and then let it rest. So whether or not
You
we
got to break it
traumatize-
down and then rebuild it.
Yeah, and we're in the breakdown phase right
Yep.
now.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. What is it? Infiltrate, destroy, and rebuild?
Yeah.
That's where
Yeah,
we're
the
at.
easiest way to destroy something is from within. And that's exactly what you're seeing right now across the country.
Yeah, true that.
Plus,
Man.
you just got to use.
So we got to
like-
protect the IRS. We can't let them dismantle it.
You got to use your force of will to manipulate people's emotions to make them more American, to make them more liberty loving.
What?
We're in a battle of wills of
Ian,
spirit.
why are you hurting me?
This is what you call-
I haven't been here I haven't seen you in 3 weeks or something, and now you're harming me.
it's 'cause
Why
we-
are you hurting my heart?
He's trying
I
to-
thought we were friends.
He's trying to bully me before I leave.
We in a,
Yeah, he
we in a
is.
culture war, baby, and I fight dirty. Are you ready? That was a little Bill Maher.
I mean, your point is right. But the thing is, Americans, and specifically children, need to be taught that America is not an evil place, right? That a liberal society is not inherently bad, because what they're being taught is that a liberal society is bad because a liberal society makes room for racism. That's what they're taught. When you hear critical race theory, the critical part is criticizing the existing structures, which is our society, and race is the means that they're using to criticize.
And America is a very beautiful thing and a beautiful place, but it's the leaders in charge. That's what people need to be taught. America is great.
It's not about the leaders in charge. It's people need to understand the fundamental ideals that the United States was founded on, and they need to understand why they are important. It is important to know why property rights matter.
Bigoted.
It's important to know why free speech matters. These things matter to our society, and without them, we do not have the society that we have grown with.
Thanks for watching this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. Hang out with us live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. and become a member over at timcast.com for uncensored, members-only shows exclusive. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all next time.